Welcome, boys and girls, to Reading Rocks with Covenant Kids, where we come to read and have adventures with books and learn about God. Let me introduce my friends, Jack and Jill. They came to listen to a story today. They came, here's Jack and here's Jill. And we're going to learn about learn about God, and we're going to read a new story called The Blessings Jar. And I'm Miss Deborah, and we're going to read a story about being thankful by Colleen Coble. What do you think about that, Jack and Jill? Do you want to listen to the story today and see what we think? The character in the story today is going to go on some adventures, and she's going to learn about God and have a lot of fun. Don't we like to have a lot of fun? And we can have a lot of fun when we read books, can't we? Yes, okay. Well, and when we come to the end of the book, we'll find out what kind of adventures that our character in the story went on, okay? All right. Our listeners and our watchers out there, I hope they'll enjoy the book. Okay, all right, everybody, let's read a story. Punky Grace frowned as she started out the window. It was a grumpy morning, an icky, awful morning. I really wanted to practice my dance with Kiana today. Why can't she play? Even if she's sick, Punky's grumpies would not go away. As soon as Punky walked into the kitchen, her grandmother noticed her sad face. Is someone having a bad morning? I'm having a grumpy morning, Grammy. An icky, awful morning. Nothing fun is going to happen today. Grammy gave Punky the it's going to be okay kind of thing that only a Grammy can give. Jack and Jill, have you ever had a grumpy day? A grumpy day? Yes, I think we all, boys and girls out there, have you ever had a grumpy day? Yes, I think we all have, haven't we? Well, let's see what happens, okay? Sometimes our Grammys or our mommies and daddies or our grandpas, sometimes they can help us, can't they? Okay, we're going to find out what happens. Okay. I know the perfect cure for the grumpies. Look what I've got here, Punky. Grammy showed her a big glass jar. It's a blessings jar. Why don't we go on the adventure today and try to fill the jar with things that remind us of God's blessings? Punky thought about it. She did like adventures. Let's see, said Grammy. I know you like helping Mommy in the garden. Let's add a flower to the jar, and maybe you won't feel so grumpy. Grammy took a beautiful red bloom and dropped it into the blessings jar. Now you'll remember that flowers are one good thing God gives us. How many of you all like adventures? Do you like flowers? Do you like to plant? Have you ever planted anything in the garden, Jack and Jill? Have you helped? Have you ever helped in the garden? Boys and girls out there, have you ever helped in the garden? Well, God gives us things. He created the first garden. When He created the world, He created the first garden. And so we get to plant things in gardens, don't we? So we everything that we have comes from God, don't we? Doesn't it? Yes. All right. I bet I could find some more blessings, Punky said. She twirled around her room in her ballerina tutu. I love to dance around and around and around. Is dancing from God too? Of course. God gave you healthy twinkle toes to dance on. What can we use to help remember, said Grammy. Punky looked down at her feet. Let's put my ballet slipper in the jar after I put on my adventure clothes. Oh, do you all like to do anything special like dancing, or do you, Jill? Jack, do you like to do running, or do you like to play sports? How about you boys and girls out there? Do you know that God gives you the ability to do that? That's right. He gives us a lot of abilities to do things like that. That's right. So we need to tell Him thank you for all those things that He helps us do. That's right. As she and Grammy headed toward town, Punky began to forget how grumpy she was, especially when she saw her grandpa by the ice cream stand. She smiled as she licked the scrumptious ice cream cone he handed her. It was bubblegum flavor, her favorite, and chocolate, her second favorite, and strawberry, her third favorite. Maybe today won't be too terrible, Punky thought. Thanks for the triple dipper, Poppy. That was a yum, yum, yummy blessing. She looked at the picture of the ice cream cone on her napkin and dropped it into the blessings jar. Jack and Jill, do you all like ice cream? Do you like chocolate, Jack? Do you like strawberry, Jill? Or how many of you like, bubble gum? Ooh, how about that? Boys and girls, how many of you love ice cream? Wouldn't that be a special blessing to get to go somewhere and have ice cream today on a hot day like this? That would be a special blessing. Jack's big doggy feet splashed in the cold water as he and Punky ran along the lake shore. Remember to look for a blessing, Grammy called. Jake stopped and pawed at something in the sand. Look, Grammy, Jake found the prettiest shell I've ever seen, Punky said. Maybe it's a blessing from all the way on the other side of the lake, or the other side of the world. Maybe not that far, said Grammy with a wink, but it will still look lovely in your jar. How many of you have ever been to the lake or the ocean? Jack and Jill, have you been? Have you been to the lake or the ocean? Have you ever found a shell? Have you? Are they pretty? Are they pretty? Did you ever save one? That would be nice to put in a blessings jar, wouldn't it? Boys and girls, have you ever been to the ocean? Have you ever been to the lake? Have you seen all that water, that beautiful water that just goes on and on? Well, do you know that was created by God? So he creates so many beautiful things. They don't just appear, they come from God. They're such a blessing. We have so many things that God gives us. When they reached home, Punky headed for a giant pile of leaves beneath the oak tree. Jake was quick to follow her over the leaves, under the leaves, and through the leaves, until he was covered in orange and yellow. Grammy, doesn't Jake look silly with his fur full of leaves? Asked Punky. I'm putting this leaf in the blessings jar to remind me of my very favorite puppy. How many of you have ever jumped in the leaves? Isn't that fun? Jack and Jill, do you like to jump in leaves? Yes. Do you know that the seasons change? They go from spring to summer to fall when the leaves change and they're beautiful, and then they fall and we can jump in them, to winter, and it snows sometimes. And the seasons change because that's the way God creates them, right? Okay, that's right. That's something another blessing from God. And she has a puppy. That's another blessing, right? It was cookie time. Baking with Grammy always made Punky smile. Grammy, since Kiana is sick today, why don't we give the cookies to her? That will make her feel better. She stirred the batter and held up the spoon for Grammy to have a lick. After all, you and I make the best super duper sugar doodles in the whole world. Of course we do, said Grammy. Warm blessings from the oven are some of my favorites, and giving them away makes them even more special. She smiled as Punky dropped a cookie cutter into the jar to remind her of shared sugar doodle blessings. How many of you like homemade cookies? Have you ever made them, Jack and Jill, with your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa? Have you ever done that? Well, have you ever do you ever share them with someone and her friend was not feeling well? Do you know that God likes us to go and share or do something special for someone that doesn't feel good? Yes. Well, that's a blessing too. It's a blessing to do something with someone special, and it's a blessing to share with someone that's not feeling well, isn't it? It sure is. A few hours later, the night sky was full of stars, and Punky's eyes were full of wonder. Look at all the stars, Grammy. Maybe God sprinkled sparkly sand all the way across the sky, as far as we can see. Maybe he did, Grammy said with a smile. Why don't you sprinkle some sand into the blessings jar to help us remember this extra sparkly night? You are quite a star blessings finder now. How many of you have ever been outside after dark? How about you, Jack and Jill? Do you like to look at the stars at night when it gets dark? Have you ever been able to count them all, though? Oh, me either. There are so many. But you know what? God knows how many there are. Do you know that He knows every hair that is on our head? He can count them. So He knows how many stars there are. Because that's just God. He's very smart. He knows everything. Well, He created all the stars in the skies, in the heavens. Soon, it was time for even the best adventurers to get ready for bed. Well, Punky, we started with a grumpy morning, but ended up with a good day, Grammy said. How about a story before we say goodnight? Punky crawled into her grandma's lap to hear her favorite story about a princess who goes on a wonderful adventure. When Grammy finished reading, Punky said, "Could you put the bookmark in the blessings jar, Grammy? I want to remember this story forever and ever a day." Grammy smiled and tucked the bookmark among the day's other treasures. Jack and Jill, did you all like this story so far? Do you think you would want to save the bookmark? Do you ever put a bookmark in your book to remember where you are? I do too. This has been a good story so far, I think. Punky snuggled against her grandmother. Know what, Grammy? I was so busy looking for blessings today that I lost my grumpies. All because of you. I should try to put you in the jar, but I think you're too big. They couldn't help but giggle. Punky Grace looked at the jar full of prettiness and happiness. I thought that only icky, awful things would happen today, Grammy, but God filled my blessings jar all the way to the tippy top. God must be the bestest blessing of them all. Jack and Jill, what do you think? Do you think that God is the best blessing of them all? I think so too. Think of all the things that Punky found with her Grammy today, and all the things, you know what? I bet if we went on an adventure, I bet we could find some more things, don't you? Yes, in our house and in our yard, and if we went somewhere, we could find some more things. And you know, I bet we could make a blessings jar ourselves. Boys and girls, what if you had a jar and you put some blessings in it? Or maybe a box. You could make a blessings box. Or maybe you could draw a picture, a blessings picture. Jack and Jill, have you ever done that before? If you haven't, maybe you could try. Make a picture, draw a lot of your blessings on the picture. That would be so much fun. And think of even some of the things that God has given you, and put that on there. That would be so much fun, because God has given us so many things. And you know what? We need to tell Him thank you every day, don't we? We need to tell God thank you. And let's be sure to remember to, when we tell Him thank you, that even when we have days we're grumpy, we still need to tell him thank you, don't we? That's right. Well, thank you. Well, listen, thank you, Jack and Jill, for sharing this story and this adventure with us. And boys and girls, I want to thank you for joining us today for our story. Please check the children's channel on the Covenants app for more times and adventures with us as we learn about God. Right, Jack and Jill? And we'll see you next time with Reading Rocks with Covenant Kids. And we'll see you next time. Right, Jack and Jill? Okay.
When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged thinking all is lost,